and welcome back to part 7 of Bloodborne. This time we're going to go to our first visit of the Forbidden Woods, and I've spawned from the Great Cathedral just so then I can show you an easy route into the Forbidden Woods instead of you having to run around like a loony trying to figure out where on earth I went. The Forbidden Woods is our next plot area, which I could have gone to straight from the Grand Cathedral, so I guess it works from there anyway. But I decided not to because there are optional areas, and there's still one more optional area we can go to, but the tonsil stone didn't spawn where I wanted it to, because it spawns at random, but the spawn location I caught onto it choosing was the one in the Forbidden Woods, which is why I just decided to head to the Forbidden Woods instead of just lingering around. If you come down here, Alfred would have moved to the left over there. You can sort of see him, but I just sort of run past him because I have no need to talk with him. And down here is your access point. If you choose to keep quiet, like a humongous amount of times, he'll start saying different dialogue that gives a few hints at what's happened. Like it's a bit more, like a few more lore hints, but I didn't bother wasting your time. It's like 50 odd times to do it. But anyway, when you come down here, we're now in the Forbidden Woods. This area can be dangerous, and it's a very big area and very easy to get lost. But I do have a concrete way of just getting through it without much hassle. So hopefully I'll be able to show you guys a way through it that isn't too much hardship. If you see those glass smashes near you, they're not harmful per se, but they will cover you in oil, making you weak to fire. So if you see enemies with fire around and then they start throwing at you, just keep evasive, because the last thing you want is to become weak to fire when an enemy with fire is coming at you. Up here's a little secret area. You don't have to come up this way, but I just choose to. And there's a free executioner for your troubles if you do come up here. So there's no real reason to come up here. There's just a bit of loot, which is always nice in any game. Madman knowledge, and I think this. Oh, this is a gemstone. I thought that was a rune. So when you enter the Forbidden Woods, just head down the hill if you get lost. Just look at where you are if you get lost and just follow the hill down until eventually you see the lantern, which is there, thankfully. I didn't even notice that crow was there until after I'd gone past, which is why you sort of like to have a bit of a delayed response. Antidotes for this part of the visit, it's not that important, but on the second visit, because I've split the Forbidden Woods into 2 parts, because I get the stone to the Nightmare Frontier and I want to get that out of the way as soon as possible. So I did split this trip in 2. But that being said, like the poison issue is mainly in the Nightmare Frontier and the second half of the Forbidden Woods. So collect all the antidotes you can now, but be careful. Also, that's a trap. I know it's there, but I wanted to trigger it just to show it is there. And I've never let it hit me, but I'd assume it would either do heavy damage or kill you. So be very careful and of course evasive if you do accidentally trigger it. Oh wow, I actually got the visceral. Be careful if you follow along this upper path like I am, because there are breakable ledges and such that you can fall down. But down here is a lot of fire, and so hence people will be throwing oil. And all the enemies have got fire-based weaponry. I'm always cautious because I know, like, if I'm hit by the oil, if any of them start getting aggressive with their fire, it will hurt like hell. Because fire already hurts, and being weak to it, it's not worth it. It's better to just take it slow and instead of taking the risk in that instance. Excuse me. My throat is a tad sore, but hopefully I'll chug through this because I want to make a bit more progress in Bloodborne. remember this area we're approaching to, because... Oh no, not this bit, but when we deal with his enemy and get our weapon and start heading left, there's a bit where there's a tunnel behind a house that I deliberately avoid at this point. But remember it for later, because it's how we'll be getting into Castle Canehurst later on. It's just I choose not to go to Castle Canehurst until after Rom. Bit cold blood. So the main entrance to the little village is to your right, but I never go right, I go left. And up here, you see that house with the light that the camera is going away to? Come on past me. That house. Behind it is a tunnel that will take you to the back of Josefka's clinic, where we started the game. And from there you'll be able to find the Canehurst summons to work your way to Canehurst Castle. But this is the person you want to talk to as the last possible spot that the tonsil stone can spawn in, which for me is where it did spawn in. Thanks, game. So remember that. If you see anywhere with a red light, it's a tonsil stone possible location. But that's one that people usually forget about, because it's not near the city like all the other ones are. That one's quite out of the way. Because I'm only ever cautious of the dogs just because of how much the ones in Hemrick Charnel Lane used to screw me over when I was first learning the game. Just because of how many of them can just rush you. Here's the back of a path that if you come with frontwards, that guy will pull the lever and lock it off, so we kept going round the back like this. It's actually helped us, because now we don't have this shortcut blocked off. And I am aware I said frontwards. Beast Roar, that's quite a nice spell. People underestimate it because all it is a shockwave, but it's a shockwave that can deflect almost everything. It can deflect bullets, it can deflect fireballs. Anything that goes across the air when used, it will deflect, so it's worth using. I don't, because of course I put nothing into my arcane, but if you choose to, there you go. It looked like he phased to the ground then. If you can get onto the rooftops of any of these buildings, it's worth taking out the enemies, because most of them have oil pots or fire bombs, just to make your day extra hellish. So if you can take them out, then you don't have to worry about them like bombarding you from below. As I'm still getting bombarded here. You see that for like a second there, you saw the water under it was seemed really poorly textured. That's not water, that's oil. And so they make it really shiny to show it as oil. Standing in it will count the same as it would be if you got hit by the oil pot, so anything fire related will do extra damage in it. So don't stand around, sprint through it when you get to it. I go the long way around just so I don't have to deal with full damage, because you can just drop down. I think I drop here. Yeah, there's only a smidge of full damage anyway. It's a shame enemies can't hurt each other. Like, the only ones that really can are like ones that are drastically different. Like later on, later on there's a humanoid-like enemy, and then there's more of those giant pig monsters, and they will actually attack each other if you leave them to it. But most of the time, if they do attack, and they attack them to go through each other, they won't harm each other, which I think is kind of annoying. Like, I get it, because it puts the difficulty on the player and such, but still. Oh, I just go broad in the end just to cut them down. Right, here's another trap, and I deliberately trigger it just to show it's there. As you can see, I'm trying to not fall down, I'm trying to trigger it and then roll back, but I end up going down it anyway. And of course be careful with the bastard crows, because they will do more damage to you, because they love doing that. I don't think there's actually anything interesting down it. Oh, more antidotes. And then thankfully you can climb back up. It isn't a death state being down here. And they go back towards the entrance just to clean up the enemies and pick up on loot. Now I can't remember if it was this run or practice run, but I get really wrecked up and very close to death here because of that prick with the gun. It might have been this one. I'm hoping it's a practice one, because I want to... No, it's this one. Because Because I just panic roll and get out of there and heal up a bit. When I go broad, it's kind of when I go into like more aggressive. Because when I'm using the short sword, I'm trying to be more tactical because I can use the gun to parry them. But when I go into broad, I'm using it when I'm saying screw tactics and going power. Which, on some instances, you'll see me dip and go purely on power, and other times you'll see me never go to it. So it depends on the circumstance, really. Some bosses work really better if you hand them tactically, whilst other bosses just will collapse on themselves if you go full aggression. This is the oil puddle, by the way. As you can see, there's a little symbol next to our other stats that's just gone. That symbol meant oil. But the current one symbols we've got there, the blue one is saying our health is constantly regenerating, and the orange one is saying that we'll be doing slightly more damage when we're at max health. And that's just from the runes we've got equipped. So you've got a little bit of a representation of knowing what's there. We are nearing the end of the first visit already. Like, this video is not going to be that long. Because I unlocked the first shortcut, since we've already got the access to the Nightmare Frontiers. So I unlocked the first shortcut, which introduced us to the League, which if you played this game before the 1.7 update, you'll have no idea I'm on about, but on the 1.7 update they did add the League, which is nice. But I'll head to talk to the League guy. I choose to kill him as well, but if you're following along, I wouldn't recommend it. I just do it because I want the stuff you can get from it. Because if you kill the dude with the League, another guy will come along. If you kill him, you get a new spell. You get the Maladus whistle, I think it's called. It's either Medalus or Maladus. We'll see when we get to it. My memory's a bit hazy. Come on, I recorded all of this game when just as I was finishing up on uploading Uncharted. So my memory is a little rough in places of what happened. But it makes it a bit more interesting, since I'm still not 100% sure what's going on. Ow! As I take that to the face and very nearly die. So I don't mind using blood vials if I'm getting them back from the enemies. I don't like wasting blood vials though. Like, if I get hit on a shit attack, I'll usually just sort of tank it along and hope I get it back through viscerals later. This hut introduced a new enemy. Yeah, another one. And I'm not really sure how these things like how they always seem is they'll try and get the snakes in their head to come out so they can attack you with them. But all the ones that don't have the snakes exploding from their head straight away seem to have a lot more health than the ones that already have the snakes out their head when you meet them. And I'm not sure if that's just me or it's a deliberate design or what, but that's just something I always noticed as kind of bizarre. They can also inflict poison quite easily once the snake heads are out, so be careful. This guy can give you a bit of trouble because he does jump attacks like a prick. And the only reason you don't have to come down here, there's just as an extra weapon you can get out of it. Because if you want to use your gun as a primary weapon and focus on your blood tinge, there's a weapon that you can get here that focuses really well on that being the cannon. Yeah, I think if you're going to go for cannons, get the church cannon in the DLC, because even though it does slightly less damage, it costs less bullets to use. But the cannon is still here. Like, I go past and get the other loot first, because you have to drop down to grab it. There's also an NPC literally behind me over there that I completely ignore, because he's an arsehole. Because what he'll do, he'll go, oh no, these people died. Oh, what could have happened? When it's really obvious he killed them. And then you'll be able to offer them to go to the chapel. If you do that, he will kill someone at the chapel. And it seems randomised from all the runs I've tested it on, but he will kill someone at the chapel and screw you out of getting everyone there. But if you attack him, I uploaded a video of it before, where he becomes a beast. And it's a beast that's actually really powerful to try and deal with. So it's just better to just leave him to it, because he'll eventually die of natural causes anyway, because he won't have anywhere to go. So I'd rather him just die through starvation, because that sounds a lot more satisfying than letting him kill someone. But we're approaching the end of this first section now, because to the cliffside to our right is the shortcut back. And you'll see what I mean with this one. He'll have less health. A lot less health. And he started with snakes out of his head anyway. And he also tried to do a grab attack. You might have noticed there as well, the bastard. There. Here's the shortcut. And if you want to kill the League but you're as under-leveled as I am, because the League are far higher level than you when you meet the League members, and so you'll have a very tough fight against them, this shortcut is your ticket to killing them. Because it's such a huge drop and they will give chase. So if you just take the shortcut and drop down, there's a chance they'll give chase and fall straight off that to their death. Here's the League Confederate here. Because you'll see me talk to him and accept it, and then go away, heal up, level up, and then come fight him. If you choose to be a part of the League, when you get to Ludwig in the DLC, you'll have the option to summon him to fight alongside you. So if you're struggling with Ludwig, don't kill the League like I'm going to later on. Anyway, I go back because I've got 42,000 blood echoes I can spend, and so I'm going to spend them. I really don't put as much into my endurance as I probably should, but it's lasted me out so far, and it lasts me out the whole game, so I'm not too fussed. Then I think I just repair my sword. Either that or I try and upgrade it. Oh no, I don't have enough to upgrade, so I just repair it. Your weapon will be automatically fully repaired if you upgrade it, so you can use it to your advantage if you just want to save time or whatnot. And we also got a few more gemstones to put on to up the damage. And I put on the impurity rune that you get, because now we're a member of the League technically. We're part of the League Covenant if you want to count the Dark Souls turns of Covenant and all that stuff. There's 6 different Covenant-like things you can get in the game, 4 in the main game, 2 in the DLC. I won't be getting all of them, but I'll give it a good go. Like, I think I get like 4 or 5 of them, because there's one I unfortunately miss. Anyway, we've done what we need to here, and this is where I go back and kill the League. You don't have to do this. In fact, I don't recommend it, because if you stick to the League and start finding vermin, which you can come back to it and you can get some neat stuff out of them. I'm just doing this because I want the items that not that you get from him, but you get from his buddy if you choose to kill him. And he got a drop attack on me, but he still died. Because he will drop his iron helm, which has really high defense, but not much else. So use it with caution if you plan to use that. But once you kill him, if you go to head towards the lantern, another member of the League will have spawned, and he will attack you. This guy. And this guy drops what I want. He drops the Maladus, or the Madalus, or whatever the hell it's called, whistle, which is a really powerful spell. At this point he's stuck, but I haven't quite caught on yet he's stuck, so I'm trying to just jab him to try and get his attention. The only problem is with the spell is it is really powerful, but any spell that's powerful in the game, you've got to have high arcane to use. And I think it's either 25 or 40 for the Maladus whistle. Oh, my throat is really doomed. Oh, he's following this time. And I'm just going to do the same. I'm going to take the shortcut and wait for him to fall to his doom, because he will chase. The League are committed. And this time I actually do move out the way, just in case. And there we go. And out of it, we'll get our Medarus whistle. Oh, so I was wrong in both accounts, never mind. But that's a very powerful spell and well worth your time getting if you plan to go for an arcane run. I just wanted it for the sake of it, but look, 18 arcane to use. It summons a serpent from the nightmare. Ooh. Anyway, I've done enough here. Next time we'll head to the Nightmare Frontier and take on our Amygdala. Until then, you take care now.